Hello everyone, so today our group will be presenting on our topic study, which is how language evolves with each generation, and our focus is on the Gen Z Neologism, which is the new words, phrases, and expressions that have emerged and gained popularity among the Generation Z. Before we dive into the topic, let me introduce the members of our group. First, we have Muhammad Zarid. Next is me, Nur Suhada Nabila. And next, we have Nurul Shahinda. And the last one, we have Nur Umaira Balkis. So here's a brief overview of our presentation, and we'll begin with an introduction. So let's get started. Language is evolving faster than ever, and at the forefront of this evolution stands Generation Z, digital natives whose daily communication is shaped by memes, microtrends, and social media. And among the most striking features of their linguistic innovation is the rapid creation and the use of neologism, which is new words, expression, or meanings that reflect changing cultural, technological, and social realities. And recent studies shows that Gen Z's neologism are more than just a slang. They are socio-cultural markers, and these terms emerge through creative linguistic processes such as blending, clipping, semantic shift, and borrowing from multiple languages. And social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter act as incubators for these innovations and accelerating their spread and embedding them in everyday conversation, branding, and even academic discourse. And this presentation explores the formation, function, and impact of Gen Z's neologism through a social-linguistic lens. And we aim to understand not only on how these words are created, but also what they reveal about Gen Z's identity, digital behavior, and the broader linguistic shift in the modern era.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Zarid, and I will be presenting about our group's research objective as well as research question. And as you can see, this is the slide that is showcasing our research objective. We are diving into how Generation Z, basically people who are born from the late 90s until the early 2010s, are using language in ways that are different from the previous generations. Specifically, we are looking at recent neologism, which just mean new words or expressions that have popped up, especially online. Think of words like riz, mid, or even phrases like it's giving. These aren't just trendy, they're becoming a regular part of how Gen Z communicates. But it's not just about new words, we are also interested in syntax, about how sentences are being put together, and morphology, which is about how words are formed and change over time. For example, how Gen Z might turn nouns into verb, like saying, let me Google that, or use abbreviation in creative ways. So overall, our goal is to understand how these new elements, words, sentence structures, and word forms are shaping the way Gen Z communicates and expresses themselves, especially in digital spaces like social media and texting. And on the next slide, we have our research question. From that objective, we came up with our main question, which is how do recent neologism influence Gen Z's language proficiency in both informal and professional communication settings? This question is important because while a lot of these words and style work really well in casual communications, we want to know whether they might be affecting how Gen Z communicates in a more in a more serious or formal settings, like in school or at work or during interviews. So, are these changes making Gen Z more expressive or creative, or are they possibly creating gaps when it comes to using proper grammar and vocabulary in professional environments? That is what we aim our research about. And moving on to the next presenter.
Now, for methodology, we aim to use quantitative methods, which use Google Form as the platform. The question will be close-end questions that covers the theme of our topic, which is neologisms, and we aim to have at least 40 respondents for our questionnaire.
Hey, it's me again. But this time I will be explaining about the linguistic behavior that we can observe from three different generations. Starting with Gen Z, we can see that they often use abbreviations, slangs, and trends that are deeply rooted in their digital culture. These language habits are not random, they actually reflect how Gen Z expresses themselves in building communities and even signal belonging. For example, things like saying no cap or slay aren't just funny, they are part of how Gen Z talks and connects. Then we have Gen Alpha, the younger group, who are mostly still kids right now. They are growing up in a world completely shaped by entertainment and digital content, and they are starting to adopt similar language patterns, but in a way that is even more influenced by what they see online. Their exposure to platforms like YouTube and TikTok contributes to a kind of cross generational linguistic blending. And on the other hand, we have millennials who shows different trend. While they also use slang, it's often tied more to cultural shift when they grew up with, and their adoption of Gen Z language trends tend to be slower or more selective. They understand some Gen Z slang, but usually stick to more familiar or traditional language in most settings. Now, when we talk about the impact, what really interesting is that these language behaviors lead to cross-generational mixing. This can help different age groups to relate to one another in a better way, but it can also cause confusion or miscommunication, especially when the same words mean something totally different depending on who's saying it and where they're saying it. So while Gen Z and their younger siblings are shaping the future of language, it's also creating a unique challenge and opportunity in the same case for communication across generation. And now we'll look at how neologism exists among the Generation Z.
Thank you, Brother Zarid. So, hi, it's me again. So, now I'll be presenting on how the new neologism exists and thrive among the Gen Z. And this presentation synthesizes findings from multiple studies that examine Gen Z's language trends, particularly in online and social media spaces. And we have identified four main factors from the SLR that we've made. And the first one is linguistic creativity itself. Gen Z's neologisms are mainly formed through blending, like hangry, which is a mix of hungry and angry, and they also use a fixation like aestheticify or cottagecore, and acronym and abbreviation such as FOMO and YOLO, and even semantic shift where existing words are given new meanings like slay or delulu. And these forms are a creative response to their fast-paced digital lives. And the next factor is the role of social media. So, social media work as a catalyst, and platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram play a huge role in spreading neologism. And trends can go viral in hours, making certain slang terms mainstream almost overnight. And for example, the terms like beach flag and breeze become popular largely through TikTok influencers and meme culture. And this fast slang cycle means the Generation Z is constantly updating their vocabulary. And the third one is social and emotional function, which is why it matters to the Gen Z. And neologisms aren't just for fun, they serve deeper function in which they help the Gen Z build in group identity and making them feel connected to the peers. And they express emotion, satire, or mental health struggles in a way that is relatable. And phrases like doom scrolling or dopamine detox reflect the awareness of the digital toll on their mental health. And this word gives shape to their shared experiences. Last but not least is culture and practical use. Many neologisms tied into pop culture, fashion, or online aesthetics, like Goblin Mode, Soft Girl, or Clean Girl era. And in some cases, they even influence branding and marketing, which relates to the previous point at the psychological part. And the brands are now using Gen Z slang in campaigns to connect with the younger audiences. I think that's all from me. Now let's dive into the types of neologism.
Thank you, Sister Nabila, for the wonderful sharing. My name is Nur Balkis, and I'll be focusing on the types of neologism, or in a simple term, it is newly created words. Recent studies show that neologisms, especially among Generation Z and in social media language, have rapidly evolved through specific word formation processes such as blending, acronyms, clipping, borrowing, and semantic shifts. This evolution is tightly linked to how digital culture influence identity, communication, and social behaviors. First, we have blending. It is the most dominant form of word creation, accounting for about 40% of neologism on social media. These involve combining parts of two words to form a new one. A common example is hangry, which combines hungry and angry, capturing the mood when someone is irritated due to hunger. These terms reflect how Gen Z uses creative blends in order to express personal states in a relatable way. Next is acronym, which help Gen Z communicate quickly and emotionally. Phrases like FOMO, FOMO, which stand for fear of missing out, and YOLO, YOLO, meaning you only live once, are widely used across social platforms in order to capture complex feelings in just a few letters. Then we have clipping, where longer words are shortened. A popular example is sus, is a short for suspicious, and bro is a short for brother, which become mainstream through gaming platform and online memes. Semantic shift is another common type as well. This is when old words take on new meaning. For instance, the word slay used to mean to kill, but now it means to perform something excellently, especially in fashion or creative expression. Similarly to ghosting, once only used in supernatural context, now it refers to the act of suddenly cutting off communication with someone. Crivoni 2004 stated that these linguistic shifts are common in social media, reflecting evolving social norm and digital behavior. Last but not least, we have borrowing. Borrowing shows how Gen Z draws from other languages to express identity. Borrowing involves taking words from other languages. A good example is kawaii, the Japanese word for cute. Borrowing also reflects the global culture of online communities and the blending of cultural influences in the digital age.
The first positive effect is improved learning through social media exposure, as per cited from Wanas and Hassan 2023. It is because through social media we can learn a new vocabularies and also how to use language properly. Next, by communicating on social media, we can increase individual self-esteem, as per cited by Wanas and Hassan 2023, Jerasano and Karaturo 2022, Kalinin and Egar 2022. By communicating with strangers on social media, we can learn the differences between cultures and also we can gain a new knowledge and also create an awareness about certain things or certain ethics in communicating. We can also build connection with others that may be beneficial for us in the future. Furthermore, according to Jarasano and Karaturo 2022, neologisms on social media can improve communication among peers and it can reduce language barriers. The peers can be sharing the same humor by learning new words for their inside jokes. Lastly, according to Jabin and Nawaz 2025, newly created words become a part of mainstream English. It could be useful to fill the lexical gaps in our language, and also it can be used to express a feelings or a situation in a better context, so it can create an easier communication among people. On the other hand, neologisms may seem to have a bad effect, such as create a generational gap due to language barrier, as per mentioned by Jarasano and Karatro 2022, George 2024, and also Me Too 2024. It is because the older generation may not get the meaning of the newly formed words compared to the recent generation. They may feel left out, and also it can cause a conflict such as misunderstanding and understanding the context of conversations. Next, according to Jarasano and Terratoro 2022, neologisms may negatively affect students' formal writing skills. It is because some neologisms that are formed, such as skibidi or slee, may not be suitable to be used in formal context. However, the students sometimes write it in their essays, which can create a big problem in in educational context. Neologisms on social media may also create a social media addictions due to fear of missing out or FOMO, according to Ospens 2024 and Yusuf et al. 2025. It is happened normally on Gen Z because they want to keep up with the current trends, so they spend a lot of time on social media to learn about newly created terms and words to be used with their peers. Not only that, social media addiction could lead to health issues due to overconsumption of social medias such as addiction, digital fatigue, sleep disturbance, and also depression. It is cited by Osman 2024, George et al. 2024, and also Youssef et al. 2025. Lastly, exposure of neologisms on social media, according to Josh 2024, may create a cultural tensions because some users, especially Gen Z, may went overboard by using those neologisms to create racist jokes, and also people with different races that are communicating with each other may have a misunderstanding and trying to understand the context of word usage. I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
To sum up, our study shows that neologism, whether through blending, acronym, clipping, semantic shift, or borrowing, play a significant role in shaping how Generation Z communicates today. These new words reflect creativity, identity, and belonging in online spaces, but they also influence how Gen Z uses language in both casual and professional environment. I believe that's all from us. Thank you for listening.